here. Welcome to Team B Wrestling Show. As always, I'm Bill Mack. My Team B member, Bullet B, is not able to be here at this time. He's having some technical difficulties, but he will be adding on his channel his own version of it, of the show tonight, and give it to you. We want to make sure that we both were able to, and he's not able to right now, so look out on his channel. You'll find his own predictions and his own review of Raw. But we're going to keep the spirit of the show going. We're going to do the Raw results for June 13th, this past Monday night, and then we're going to dive right into the Money in the Bank pay-per-view and the predictions for those. So just sit back and enjoy. Like I said, Team B. This is a Team B Wrestling Show. Bill Mack here with you, and we start off with the Raw, and we start right off at the beginning. There's a 8-man tag match to begin the show between the Club, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. They are tagging along with the Vaudevillains, which is another team that will be in the tag team, in the tag team division. They are facing off against Enzo and Big Cass, as well as Kofi Kingston and Big E from the New Day. And the show opened up basically with this comedy skit with New Day talking about, along with Enzo and Cass, picking on Kofi Kingston's shoes that he wore out to the ring. And as soon as that got, basically it brought everyone out. They had a tag match, 8-man tag match, and it seemed that the Club ended up, when the dust settled, it ended up with the Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson hitting the Magic Killer on Kofi Kingston and basically picking up a win for their team. So maybe this is something to say leading into the pay-per-view, as we have this matchup in the pay-per-view coming to us. We see Titus O'Neil heading to the ring, and before he can even get to the ring, we see Rusev go in and attack him and put him in an accolade that looked very, very hurt. It looked like it was something that would hurt really bad, because he was bending him way out of shape. You could tell that that Titus O'Neil was in some pain. But this is, I guess, to further along them, and I guess O'Neil putting Titus O'Neil, since he's been back, try to give him maybe a little push with Rusev. But Rusev still showing his dominance as a dominating U.S. champion. And the Ambrose Asylum is back for tonight. Yes, it is. Shane must have reinstated it. We see that Dean Ambrose's guest for tonight, he's having more than one. He's having the actual reunion of sorts tonight with the champion, Roman Reigns, as well as the challenger for his title, the man that claims he never lost the title, Seth Rollins, who is just making his appearance back a little less than a month from the last pay-per-view. These two have had a good feud going into the night, and we see tonight they're going back and forth, and basically they're arguing. It all boils down to them arguing in the ring, who's going to win Money in the Bank between the two. And Ambrose had his little part to say in it too, because he said, what if I end up, because everybody, Roman's talking about he's going to defeat Seth. Seth talking that he's going to defeat Roman. But Ambrose made it a point. He said, what if I win the Money in the Bank and I get it, and I end up cashing it in, whether it's on you, Roman, or on you, Seth. So we see this happening, and they all end up fighting in the ring, and Dean Ambrose gets the best of Roman Reigns as he hits the dirty deeds on Roman Reigns, and he looks up with the Money in the Bank briefcase. So this kind of gives us a good storyline heading into this being the go home show before the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So really good. I enjoyed that pretty much. We see up next is a women's matchup. We see Paige taking on Charlotte, as Natalya and Becky Lynch are out doing commentary. And, you know, they'll end up facing Charlotte and Dana Brooke at Money in the Bank, which is, you know, a little match here kind of to keep this feud going. And Dana Brooke kind of causes Charlotte the matchup when she threw her back in, and Paige ended up hitting the Rampage on Charlotte from the win. And Charlotte didn't look too thrilled or too happy with Dana after she's shouting for Dana to get her title, because she was on the outside. And she was so upset because of the uncoordination. And Dana, she felt like Dana costed her the match by throwing her back in where Paige could get the Rampage on her. So this kind of furthered their matchup whatsoever going on into the pay-per-view as we go. Up next, we see a squash match, basically, which is a match nobody really wanted to see. Sheamus ends up taking on Ryder, and of course, you know, Sheamus is going to win with the Brogue Kick, and then after the match, you know, he continued attacking Ryder, and this brought out Apollo Crews to come out and make the save. And this is kind of further Apollo Crews, his feud with Sheamus, you know, with Sheamus having problem with the new era guys coming in, but we see it as well as this is kind of elevating Apollo Crews by, even though how you feel about Sheamus, it's still great having you know, him to kind of be there to help Apollo Crews, because Apollo Crews really hasn't made it on the roster just as much as maybe Enzo and Cass or Sami Zayn or any other guys that's come up. So this is a good feud, I guess, to put him in, to kind of put him right up there, because, you know, Sheamus has won titles. He is a former champion, so it's good that they're putting him up and trying to get him over with the crowd and stuff. So this looks like it's going to further their own feud to have between Apollo Crews and Sheamus as well. Up next, we see Sami Zayn and Cesaro face off against each other, and this was a good matchup. I actually enjoyed the matchup. You know, Cesaro is a very strong man. He puts on good performances when he's in the ring, and Sami Zayn is a good performer as well. So they actually put on a really good matchup, and Sami Zayn ended up winning after doing what they call it, a sunset flip powerbomb. But for many of you fans, if you've seen that move, the moment you saw it, you thought of Petey Williams back on TNA when he used to do the Canadian Destroyer, to me, which is one of the most lethal kind of power bombs that you can actually get. So we see that happening in today, and seeing that actually going on. So I enjoyed it, thought it was a good move, and Sami kind of was happy when he nailed it, because he kind of knew that if he nailed it, he was going to actually get the win. So great job on Sami and pinning Cesaro, because Cesaro is a very tough man to beat. So this is a good matchup. Up next, we have the contract signing between John Cena and AJ Styles, and this was the time coming. We come back, there's two different contracts on the table as AJ comes out and he's looking at it. Cena explains to him, he said, look, you can either sign this contract on the left that has the club coming out the ringside, but if you do and sign this contract, it's going to show you weren't man enough to bring it on your own, that you had to have help. In some sense of the word. He said some other words, which I'm not going to get into. Or he told AJ, you can sign this contract where it's one-on-one, that I'm going to come at you and get the very best, and you're going to be man enough and man up and give your best in doing it. So it was just a promo between him for AJ to actually go out there and have a matchup one-on-one and show people that he doesn't need assistance in his matches and assistance with winning, you know. And I actually like this match, and AJ and John Cena and him went back and forth with each other, and AJ was telling him what he could have been if he had been able to come make it, if he couldn't have been able to go into WWE 15 years ago, how Cena wouldn't have been what he was, but AJ would have been. And Cena comes back and tells him, you know, you can't. I'll see a lot of indie guys come in here and say coulda, woulda, shoulda. He said you didn't. The fact is, but you got a chance now, and you're going to be foolish enough to blow it if you're not careful. So it made AJ mad. AJ signs the contract. Cena signs the contract, and he picks it up, and he told Cena, he said, look, I'm not just any average indie wrestler to come in here, Mr. Kmart shopper, which he's picking because, you know, WWE has a lot of their merchandise at Kmart and stuff that they put out there. So, you know, and he told John Cena, he said, your time is up and my time is now. And he jaws back and forth with Cena as he goes out. So, pretty good contract signing. Pretty good. They've had a pretty good feud leading up to this. And I'll give you more of my predictions about what I think will happen in the when we talk about Money in the Bank. So good verbal sparring between the two leading into it. I think AJ's coming to his own and getting his promos down because you could tell he was really passionate about it. Up next, we see these two guys that really don't get along too well. We have Mr. KO, Kevin Owens, and Del Rio because they were fighting in the back. And Corporate Kane, which is there trying to get his job as SmackDown manager or lead managing member, he made a matchup and told Del Rio he must tag team with Kevin Owens, and if he doesn't tag team with Kevin Owens, then and they lose, he makes a tag team matchup against the Lucha Dragons, and he says, look, if you don't work together and win this matchup, the Lucha Dragons are end up going to taking your spot. So we see him kind of tell them, you know, you've got an incentive that you need to learn to work together, because if you don't, then you're going to end up losing your own spot. So we get to the matchup. It's a good matchup, you know, and they argued basically throughout the match. Kevin had threatened to leave at one point, which Del Rio reminded him, hey, you're going to lose this for us. If you don't, we're going to lose our shots. They go back, pins and stuff. They tagging in and outs were kind of ruthless between the two, whether it was slaps on the shoulders, the arms, wherever. You could tell these two just don't get along too well, but they had to in order to win this matchup. So we ultimately see Owens pin Sin Cara with a pop-up power bomb, and after the match, when Kevin Owens is celebrating, we see Del Rio kick him in the back of the head, and he stands above Kevin Owens, and so we see that where that's going to take us to. And finally, folks, last but not least, summing it up, we had a matchup that was made earlier in tonight. After the Ambrose Asylum was over, Stephanie met Dean in the back and told him that he was going to have a match against one other member of the Money in the Bank, and that was going to be Chris Jericho, which we know these two have had a rivalry going in to the last pay-per-view, and we thought that was kind of going to be the end of it, but they're going to have the match in the main event, which is coming up next. And we see that Sami Zayn was talking to Shane before they went off. Sami Zayn is going to end up being in commentary. Well, you know, Kevin Owens didn't like it, so he goes to Stephanie. He wants to be in commentary as well. So Stephanie, not letting Shane one-up her, allows Kevin Owens. Well, then we see Del Rio go out there, and he wants to be part of it. So then Del Rio ends up being the guest timekeeper and ringing the bell. And then also we see Cesaro doing the guest announcing. So we see everybody just basically involved in that matchup on at ringside, or if not in the ring. And we see that Ambrose ends up winning the match after a good back and forth between Jericho by hitting the dirty deeds, and then after the matchup is over with, everybody ends up brawling on the outside, on the inside, and Jericho ends up pulling down the money in the briefcase, sitting with his legs crossed on top of the ladder, holding on to it dearly and telling everybody that's what he's going to do. So we see, while everybody else is brawling, Chris Jericho standing above everyone on top of the ladder, holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. So is this a foregone conclusion? Who's going to win? We'll have to wait and see on the edition of Monday night. On this edition of Monday Night Raw. And flashpoint here for the Raw rating. The go-home edition of Raw was in. It's not good news. Raw only drew 2.97 million with the 0.98 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. But also, fairness to is the NBA also finals was in, and they drew 7.9, I think. And those numbers that WWE had were down 9% and 14% from the previous week when they had 3.255 with a 1.14 in that demographic. You know, this is the first time they've dropped since below 3 million since the November 23rd 2015 edition of Raw. So, you know, I would cap it just basically due to the NBA Finals happening, could have drawn a few of those viewers away from WWE Raw and watch that. So I really wouldn't worry too much about that. So, like I said, this is Bill Mack here. We're getting ready to talk about the Money in the Bank, but this is Bill Mack for the Team B Wrestling show here with your Raw in review for June 13th, 2016. So we're getting ready to head right into the Money in the Bank. So thanks for everybody for watching, and we'll head right into it. And welcome, folks. This is the Team B Wrestling show. This is the Money in the Bank predictions. Sorry, Bullet B is not here. As I stated earlier, and he is having technical difficulties at this time. But, however, if you do check his channel out, I will have his channel in the link. You will be able to see his opinions on Raw and of the Money in the Bank predictions tonight. But he told me to go ahead and go forward with it, so I'm putting out there for you guys today. And I hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe to our channels. A lot of content, and we'll keep putting out there the product and hoping that you are subscribers and those that watch us enjoy the show. So I hope you all enjoy it today. So we get right into the Money in the Bank 2016. This is happening June 19th. They're going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada for this event. And we begin off tonight. Early, and I think in the kickoff show will be Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin. And it feels like this feud has been going on forever. I mean, I think the last 2 or 3 dark kickoff shows has had these two guys in it. I can't even tell you who I think is going to win because I don't even know which way it's going. But I'm going to pick, if nothing else, I'm going to pick Ziggler to come out on top with this matchup just because he's the veteran. Baron Corbin's really not getting over as much as people would have liked to, much as I would have liked to see him get over. But he never really did in NXT either, so just chalk it up. But in this matchup, I'm going to choose Dolph Ziggler to defeat Baron Corbin. Up next matchup, what we talked about earlier on in the feud. This is a new feud between the New Era and Sheamus' distaste for those guys coming in, as we have the feud between Apollo Crews versus Sheamus. Now this his feud has been going on this past month. I think it's a good feud. They need to go another month with it. Make a solid good feud in 2 months. You know, I think to me is you've got to build it up. You can't throw just something together because, as we've seen before, when this happens, it never turns out good. But we see Apollo Crews taking on Sheamus. Sheamus has been very upset at Apollo Crews lately. Apollo Crews has come out just last on Raw to make the save with Sheamus against Sheamus, and I think personally that Sheamus will come out on top, but I think it'll be a good rub to Apollo Crews. So again, I'm going to stick with the veteran. I don't see him yet as pushing Apollo Crews. They could have, but Sheamus to me isn't the person I would kind of let him go over on. So I'm going to pick Sheamus for the win in this matchup. Up next, we've seen this has been a feud that has been coming along. We've seen WWE pushing Rusev as being the U.S. champion, which he won at the last pay-per-view. This month's target has been Titus O'Neil. Remember on Monday Night Raw, he put the accolade on Titus O'Neil, very painful, and told and shoved the title in Titus's face, and he was just showing his dominance of this. But Titus is a strong man himself. So if anything else, I would say I would stick with Rusev retaining. I think Titus is getting a push. Don't know if this is the time that they're going to actually put him over, finally over, but I'm going to stick by the suspects, Sami Zayn versus Cesaro versus Jericho versus Ambrose versus Owens and Del Rio. From my looks of it, it seems like a lot of people are pushing two of actually my favorite guys, either Ambrose or Owens, to be the ones to get the Money in the Bank. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna say, if I have to really say it, I think they're gonna do a collision course, and it's going to be Dean Ambrose getting it because of the Shield reunion that it could lead to in the main event between Rollins and between Rollins and between Reigns. I think this would be for good TV if he was to gain it. And I think it's right before that matchup. So if it's on the card that way, then that's a good timing. But it's a lot of work to get in that ladder match and turn around and get out there and do something in the main event. But we shall see. But if I call for Money in the Bank, I'm going with Dean Ambrose to get the Money in the Bank briefcase. And last but not least, we have the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. This feud has gone back well over a year, between Reigns and Rollins. Reigns being the champion, Rollins being the challenger for it. Rollins' logic has been his leg gave out. He had to drop the title. Roman never beat him, and he hasn't beaten him yet. And until he's beaten him, he's going to see different. Roman Reigns has been the man since Rollins has been out. He has been the one that has been carrying the title, the guy, as he says, and he seems to think that he's going to go in as champion and leave out as champion. So this kind of leaves us at a stalemate here between Rollins and Reigns. I kind of feel like maybe Rollins may get it. I'm going to go on a limb and say upset here, but I'm going to choose Rollins in this, and I don't know if Dean is going to cash in or not. But I'm just going to say Seth Rollins will get the upset and get his title back. I know Reigns has had it, but if anybody can get it off of Reigns, it's going to be Rollins to run with it. So I'm going to actually say Rollins will somehow get the title at the pay-per-view. So that's just my pickups for this. So, these are my predictions for it. Like I said, I appreciate everybody's watching and that'll see this. Like I said, give a like to the video. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. There's more of this. Team B, Bullet B, and I both do the Raw and review, and we do pay-per-view predictions as well, and reviews sometimes, and as well as I do TNA wrestling wrap-up shows. So I hope everyone takes care, enjoys. Like I said, like and subscribe to this, and send as many people, and take care, everyone. And until after the pay-per-view, until next time, this is Bill Mack, and I am out.